with another video. This is brought to you by File. That's the channel name, File. This is when Joe Rogan destroys his woke guest. So I fuck with Joe Rogan's podcast. I mean, who doesn't? He got the biggest podcast in the world, I believe so. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it.
These are times when Joe Rogan destroyed woke guests on his show.
I mean, if you're choosing to add hormones to a child's body, that's a choice. An actual woman. Yeah, I said actual. Off.
Gender's not just genitals, it's in your mind.
Right.
In this video, you will see every time Joe Rogan destroyed woke guests on his show, beginning with Adam Conover, who got owned on the topic of trans children. The exchange began when Joe asked Adam for his
Oh shit. Please don't cancel me.
on trans athletes, to which he stated that he sees nothing wrong with trans competitors.
A sports with trans athletes, that is a sporting world that I'm more interested in.
Joe responded to Adam's argument by saying that it's unfair for a biological woman to have to compete against a biological man.
So if you're a woman and you don't take any extra hormones or male hormones, you're not taking steroids or any sort of performance enhancing drugs, but then someone comes along that was a man for 30 years and decides that they're going to be a woman, and this has happened, and literally transitioned a few months ago, and competes as a woman and destroys records and dominates you in that sport. It's not fair. It's as much cheating as taking steroids when the other person doesn't.
While Joe is making a good argument, Adam rebuttals by stating that there's no such thing as a level playing field.
I disagree, and I've...
What do you disagree about?
I've already... Well, I don't think that there is such a thing as a perfectly level playing field. I think we decide what kind of playing field we want to have.
Sure, but we do make the distinction where we don't allow men to compete in women's divisions.
And I think that that distinction may be breaking down a bit.
While Adam believes that the walls of gender are breaking down, Joe Rogan offers a challenging question, asking if males should be able to compete in women's weightlifting.
So you think that males should be able to compete in the women's division of weightlifting?
No, I don't necessarily. But
they can if they...
It's a yes or no question. What you mean necessarily? No, you don't, because that's unfair.
After Joe states the fact that men can compete in women's sports by transitioning, Adam tries to steer the narrative by arguing that as people transition as young as 7 years old, the difference in biological nature will shift.
You're seeing folks transition much earlier age, and so if someone is transitioning from the age of 7 years old, right, and working with those hormones, from that age, right, they're not going to have their body situation is going to be very different than the one that you postulated, right?
Joe pushed back on the idea of transitioning kids, stating that 7-year-olds don't even know who they are.
There's no reason to give kids hormones, and there's no reason to decide before a person's frontal lobe is completely fully developed, which doesn't even take place till 25. You're going to let them decide what sex they're going to be for the rest of their life?
This is when Adam starts talking about his friend with the trans kid, and how because he feels like a girl, he must get hormones, implying that it's not a choice, to which Joe disagrees.
I have a friend who has a trans kid. He's explained that my child from a very young age consistently said, I am a girl, and has never contradicted themselves, never changed their mind. And so the humane thing, and the thing that he felt was good to do as a parent, was to embrace that choice on his child's part, right?
Embrace.
But is his father gay though? Is his father weird? I have to see it to believe it, man. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to enable my son to be a woman at 7 years old. I feel like you just failed as a parent, and your structure in your household isn't what it needs to be. If he gets grown and he want to get out and do that, that's him. But at 7 years old, your kid has never consistently said he's a man. He's always saying he's a woman. I feel like that's really just reflecting and really telling of your own household. I don't think that's normal at all.
Choice meaning hormonally.
I shouldn't even phrase it as a choice, like embrace that identity. Yeah.
Okay, but if that's who they are, if they think that they're a girl, why do you have to give them hormones to make them more of a girl?
When asked a simple question, Adam stutters, and this is where Joe absolutely destroys Adam.
Because... I'm sorry, can you expand on the question?
It's a simple question. If you say that the child thinks it's a girl, so you're going to give the child hormones. If the child thinks it's a girl, let it be a girl. Like, you don't have, why are you adding hormones? If you're shooting hormones into a child and you have the choice, you're choosing to chemically change this child's body.
Yeah.
And you're saying that this isn't a choice. Well, it's definitely a choice to do that.
With no ability to provide a strong argument, and the comment feedback on the video being almost entirely negative, with viewers stating things such as, if I had a penny for every time Adam declared that he wasn't an expert, we could hire an actual expert to tell him how wrong he is. It's safe to say that Adam had no clue what he was talking about and got absolutely destroyed, but at least he listened to Joe's argument and didn't interrupt, unlike the next woke guest, Pete Dominic, who smugly stated that the United States Constitution should be rewritten.
Our Constitution is also silly. Like, let's remake everything. Have a serious conversation about what kind of guns and bullets people can have. There's so much better that we can do.
Well, Pete means well and wants...
That's not going to do anything at all. That's like going back to the conversation of, should we ban guns? That'll never work. You can't ban guns.
Form to stop gun violence in America, the biggest question is how. Every study will show you that there are far too many guns in America to confiscate them all. So, how do you collect them? Joe Rogan believes that it's impossible, while Pete believes in government buybacks.
There's so many guns. You're not getting them all. It's not possible.
That's the most important point. There's already 330. There's more guns than there are people, so what do? I think you buy as many as you can back for sure. You spend a whole bunch of taxpayer money.
If you wanted to do that without changing the Second Amendment, like you just have a buyback where you just offer people the opportunity to make some money by giving their guns up.
This is where Pete Dominic smugly interrupts Joe's train of thought by moving...
I mean, hey, that don't sound too bad, but you better be offering a bag, but I ain't gonna lie. If you say, hey, no matter what gun you give us, we giving you 5 racks, 10 racks, 20 racks for Glocks, 50K for assault rifle. I mean, that shit might work, but on the other hand, little YNs and coons, they finna just steal guns, sell them to y'all, and then take them back. And I mean...
goalpost, stating that the Second Amendment has been misinterpreted.
The Second Amendment has been interpreted wrong by the Supreme Court.
We need to talk about the Second Amendment. I mean, it's a big conversation.
No, because people can have guns. You can have guns. The Rick has a right to have guns. You just can't have these guns.
Well, it's clear that Pete is getting riled up. Joe remains calm and collected. Pete continues to interrupt and move the goalpost, contradicting himself sentence after sentence, originally stating that the issue is the guns and the bullets.
The main issue is definitely the guns and the bullets in them.
Well, the main issue is the person that's capable of shooting people with the guns and the bullets.
No, it's the guns and the bullets.
The guns and the bullet are inanimate objects. Without a person pulling the trigger, we're talking nonsense here.
And then flipping to it being a healthcare issue just 30 seconds later.
The conversation about like the Second Amendment to me is, it's just your interpretation. Fine, whatever your interpretation is fine.
That's what's interesting.
But there's a human impact. It's a healthcare issue, and it's so extreme. It's really, if you want to know the answer to healthcare issues, you should talk to public health experts.
When Joe asks what he's yapping about,
nigga, what the fuck does that have to do with guns?
Pete is unable to answer without rambling and talking in circles. The same thing he's done this entire segment.
But hold on. What research? On what?
Well, they don't have enough research on. They don't have enough research on gun violence.
What are you
unfortunately.
talking about then?
I'm talking about if you want to know the solutions for what is impacting and creating death by any measure, accidental death.
Right, but we're talking about gun violence, right?
Right.
What healthcare professionals have the solutions to gun violence?
While this debate was clearly one-sided, with Joe Rogan absolutely smoking him, I can't say the same about our next guest, Flint Dibble, who got into an argument on episode 2136 of the Joe Rogan Experience with Graham Hancock over published articles claiming Graham was a racist and a white supremacist.
People ask, here's just a Google search. Archaeologist Flint Dibble says Hancock's claims reinforce white supremacist ideas, stripping indigenous people of their rich heritage, and instead giving credit to aliens or white people. Actually, I've never...
Did you really say that?
When Joe Rogan tries to confirm if Flint Dibble actually made these claims, Flint denies repeatedly.
No, I said that this idea of Atlantis, the way it goes back 200 years, it has been used for those reasons.
So are you saying your quote is incorrect?
I think that it's editing me out of context, Graham. I've never called you a white supremacist or a racist.
No. Flint argues that he only labels the sources.
The body language shows he's lying off the rip. His tone gives it away. But this little body language, the not wanting to face nobody and looking into nothing, you're lying. And the hat, honestly, your outfit give it away. Your player build gives it away. I mean,
context,
shit.
Graham, I've never called you a white supremacist or a racist.
No. Flint argues that he only labels the sources Graham uses as racist, and not Graham himself. But Joe disagrees. Joe believes that by associating Graham with these claims, Dibble is trying to get him canceled.
This quote here reinforce white supremacist ideas, stripping indigenous people with a rich heritage, and instead giving credit to aliens or white people. None of those things are true.
I know Graham doesn't even talk about aliens,
right? But
and
what,
so
did
that's
you
why
say that?
I said that not in specific relation to Hancock's claims, but in specific relation to this narrative of Atlantis that has gone back hundreds of years.
Flint adamantly denies these claims, but what he didn't know is that Graham came with more receipts.
As Dibble, here's the Guardian, so they're misquoting you, are they? As Dibble states, such claims reinforce white supremacist ideas. They strip indigenous people of their rich heritage and instead give credit to aliens or white people. Why didn't you get the Guardian to put that right?
When pressed on the issue, Flint is unable to give a clear answer and appears to dodge the questions.
Well, I don't.
Did you
decide
actually
what
say
they were.
that though?
I did not say that Graham reinforces white supremacist ideas. As I've said,
So this
the
quote is not
history,
real?
They stripped the stories of Atlantis. Yes, right.
So the quote reinforce white supremacist ideas, that's not yours.
No, that's not a quote. It's not in quotation.
Right, it was in the other article. Quote,
This is
though.
your own article, Flint. Here you are. I'm quoting from, that's a quote from your article published in The Conversation. This sort of race science is outdated and long since debunked, especially given the strong links between Atlantis and Aryans proposed by several Nazi archaeologists. You are associating me with this, and you are attempting to get me
I'm asking
cancelled
you to
effectively.
distance yourself from that. Is
But
actually what I'm trying to do.
But that's not what you're doing, though.
Flint continues to dodge for the rest of the 4-hour podcast, never owning up to his wrongdoing, just like CNN, who claimed that Joe Rogan was taking horse dewormer and endangering the population with his use of ivermectin.
More breaking news this evening. Joe Rogan, an extremely popular podcaster, announced on social media today that he has COVID. In his statement on social media, Rogan said he has taken several therapeutics to recover.
Turns out I got COVID.
CNN even went as far as to edit Joe Rogan's face to make him look more sick.
So we immediately threw the kid.
Oh, wow. Damn. I mean, we all knew CNN was on some shicey shit, but damn, making him look gray is crazy.
Sank out of all kinds of meds, monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, Z-Pack.
CNN claims that the use of these drugs is not clinically backed and is dangerous.
One of those drugs he mentioned, ivermectin, is something more often used to deworm horses.
But Joe got these meds prescribed by a doctor and recovered in just 4 days. Here's what he had to say about the situation.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN? CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer.
Yeah, what? So
They must know that that's a lie.
There's a lot of people saying it.
Right, I literally got it from a doctor.
After talking about where he got it, he puts the final nail in the coffin for CNN.
This is the grand conspiracy, right? The grand
Right.
conspiracy is the pharmaceutical companies are all in cahoots to try to make anybody who takes this stuff look crazy. But what's crazy is look how better I got.
Yeah.
I got better pretty quick, bitch.
let's go to like
With CNN going as far as editing footage of Joe to make him look incredibly sick, while also making several false claims, it's safe to say that Joe took the dub in the end, although CNN never acknowledged any wrongdoing.
They never do. What the fuck is this? Hey, that's the end of that video right there, man. I mean, yeah, y'all let me know in the comments if y'all want me to do more videos like this. Drop it in the comments. Make sure you like, sub up if you ain't sub. That's it. We out.